All right, so I bring the question to you. What's your favorite movie that's adapted from another source?
That's a really tough one because there's a lot of great ones that come to mind.
Yeah, there's like you could almost categorize it, and it could
Yeah.
be different things for different sources.
I have, I guess, two. I usually have like two. One is Much Ado About Nothing.
I love that movie.
It is my favorite Shakespearean classic.
The Kenneth Branagh one?
Yes. With Denzel Washington as the prince
Yes.
and Keanu Reeves as Don John.
Yes.
And then after that is Dune by David Lynch. A adaptation of the Frank Herbert novel.
Okay.
Which I loved that movie growing up. It's weird, and I probably had no business watching it as a child, but I absolutely loved it. I did not even understand how much I would love David Lynch's other stuff that I've seen until recently. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with two as well. I really love the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet because it uses the Elizabethan English, but it updates the setting. And I think that's a brilliant way to showcase how accessible Shakespeare can be if you open your mind and you open your heart to it. I love making the jokes with my kids every year when we watch it and watch scenes from it and some of the other adaptations where it's like sword brand guns and
it's like a big 44 with sword on the side of it.
There's just so many awesome stylistic choices he makes, like even with the prologue where, you know, some people will just have like a voiceover, but he does this whole cool thing with a news report, and then he does this cool thing with repetition with like kind of letting you know like who's playing all the characters. And just the music choices, the acting choices for casting, it's just really fun. It's very over the top and stylized, but at the same time, like when I show that to kids and they act like they don't care about Shakespeare because like that's old miss. Like why do we have to read this? And then by the end it's like they're like totally engaged and like yelling at the screen.
No, you idiot, she's still alive.
Yes, like she's still alive, don't do it. Why did she do that, Miss? Those people are so stupid. It's just really interesting. Yeah.
But I have a question for you then as a fan of Shakespeare. Best Tybalt, Michael York or
the one from the Baz Luhrmann one, I can't remember that actor's name.
Which is really bad because he was Luigi in Mario.
He's very fantastic. No, so I'm thinking of someone. I'm thinking of Mercutio. I'm sorry.
No, he's also fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't know why I got those
John
two.
Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Okay, now
Michael York or John Leguizamo as Best Tybalt. Because for those that don't know, Michael York played Tybalt in the 1968 version of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, the Franco Zeffirelli production.
And for those of you that don't know who Michael York is, you need to get good because he's been in some fantastic films throughout time. He was most noticeably, for what people will probably all know him as, Basil in the Austin Powers films.
And if you watch Gilmore Girls, he was their professor when they went to Yale, and he dated Paris, and he died. He was Asher. I forgot his real name, but yeah.
But my personal favorite film of his will always be Logan's Run. It's fantastic dystopian science fiction.
But getting back to your question, I don't know. There's a lot of sinisterness about Leguizamo's performance as Tybalt. Very angry and visceral. And Michael York obviously did a wonderful job. He's a great actor. But I think there's something that's just very guttural and real about Leguizamo as Tybalt, where he's just so angry, and it's like the world owes me something that Michael York's performance doesn't quite have, because that's, you know, not, they were going for a more traditional performance
where he's more
in
like
Zeffirelli.
Cocky and prideful.
Yes.
But that could come from Leguizamo making a statement on his own career, feeling he's not given the chances he feels he deserves.
He's wonderful in that movie. He's a very good actor if you kind of give him a chance.
There's a lot of actors I think aren't done justice by the roles they're given. But that's neither here nor there. So you're going Leguizamo?
Yeah, I would go with Leguizamo. And then for my favorite, since you got to pick two, my novel adaptation is, of course, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. And it's not a faithful adaptation of the material. There is a lot they leave out, because I don't think it would have made sense for them to include all of those elements in the novel for the story. They basically get the heart of the story on film, but they are missing a lot of the little nuances.
Well, there's the whole scene where they're having like all the ladies over for tea or something like that, and they don't have that scene at all in the movie, but it's a fantastic scene in the book. But losing that scene for the movie doesn't hurt the movie.
No.
And then Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch
is the best casting of all time.
Oh my God.
He is so wonderful. And then the kids that they chose.
Yep.
They were so wonderful as Jim and Scout and Miss Maudie and Tom Robinson and Bob Yule. All of it is just a perfect cast.
It is. It's a fantastic movie. And even though, like, I'm not the biggest advocate of remaking old films. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can do it right.
Yeah.
And then most of the time you can't. We had Ben-Hur come out this year. It is technically the third remake. Mm-hmm. We didn't need it. It was bad.
Yeah, they did it right the second time.
Yeah, they did.
They could add something new that they couldn't do in the silent era in 1925.
Beyond just sound.
Yes.
But I will also. But I'm going to say if we ever needed To Kill a Mockingbird to be re-released, it would be like right around now.
Yeah.
Need a reminder. But it's probably a movie that shouldn't be re-released because remade. How are you going to top what
was
what
already
they did?
done?
It was
You don't need to make it in color.
No.
You don't. The story's already perfect as is. You don't need to add in all of the little growing up elements. There might be a few other scenes you can add to kind of help strengthen the African American characters. Mm-hmm. Like when they go to Calpurnia's church and then they see how some of the members treat them, and there's like that one character that's like very offended that Calpurnia would bring Scout and Jim to their church, but then everybody else is like, no, like we welcome you. We're really proud of like what your father's trying to do for our community.
Yep.
Which is such a huge statement in the 1930s when the film is set that. Yep. You know, somebody would stand up for truth and justice and not just go with what the majority wants. That's so important.
Mm-hmm. It's important that also rings true now.
Yeah.
And also rings true even more so now too because Go Set a Watchman recently came out.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Long enough that it's still in memory for some people. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't needed.
Yeah, because it was just basically like the pre-writing for
To Kill a Mockingbird.
And it was stuff that like Harper Lee never intended to like be taken as a sequel.
No. Or anything.
So, yeah.
But yeah, those are fantastic choices.